to buy the papers from the newspaper companies and sell them on street corners, losing the money that they spent on the unsold papers. During the Cuban War for Independence, two major New York City newspaper companies raised their prices to make more money. In the summer of 1899, once the war was over, they still had not brought their prices back down.
Instead of selling newspapers, the newsboys went on strike, causing the companies to lose thousands of dollars a day. But after a few weeks, the newspaper companies made a compromise with the newsboys by agreeing to buy back all their unsold papers. The strike's most important legacy was that the newsboys were the first kids to organize a strike and carry it out on their own.
In the 1800s, many people in major cities were very poor. Parents of the household would work all day and still not have enough money to provide enough food and shelter for their family. Around this time was when boys began to be pulled out of school so they could work to support their families. A popular and easy job that any kid could get was to be a newsboy. But while some newsboys had families they were supporting, most were homeless or orphaned and had nowhere to go except for one of the newsboy shelters.
About 10,000 kids worked on the streets of New York City as newsboys. That meant that since a lot of boys were selling papers, they didn't make very much money. To sell more papers, they would make themselves seem poor or sick to make it seem like they needed more money than the other boys.
Get your papers here, papers, 2 cents a paper, buy your papers. Will you buy my last papers?
Oh, you poor little thing. Of course I'll buy your last paper.
Things got way better for the newsboys soon after, when the Cuban War to gain independence from Spain began in 1898. Although the prices of the 2 papers went up, the boys sold all of their papers, and in the long run, made more money than they had before the war began.
Learn about the war in Cuba.
Hear about what's going on in Cuba.
This is so great. I'm selling so many more papers than I used to. I never have any left at the end of the day anymore.
I know. Let's just hope this war lasts forever.
Wouldn't that be great?
Unfortunately, the war did end, but something big was just starting.
By the summer of 1899, the news in the Evening World, run by Joseph Pulitzer, and the Evening Journal, run by William Randolph Hearst, had died down from the interesting war stories. But they did not lower their prices. The newsboys were not happy about that. Kid Blink was a small boy of about 13 or 14. He was called Kid Blink because he was blind in one eye. He was one of the leaders of the strike. Kid Blink, I need your help. Not as many people are buying my newspapers, and I keep losing money. I don't know what to do.
Well, isn't it obvious? We should start a strike. We should do it soon, too, because all the cops that could stop us are all occupied with the Charlie strike. It's the perfect time. We should go out on the streets, make signs, and tell people that we're not selling the World or Journal until they bring their prices back down to 50 cents for 100 papers.
That's a great idea. I'll spread the word. But when should it start?
In 2 days, on July 21st. Don't sell the World or Journal, and make sure no one else does too.
July 21st arrived, and newsboys all over Manhattan were running through the streets telling others about the strike.
Get your New York Times here, 2 cents a paper. Get your papers here.
Hey, are you selling the World or Journal?
No.
Good. We're going on strike for those papers because they won't bring their prices back down to what they were before the war. Do you want to join our strike?
Yeah, what do I have to do?
Well, you just go to any place that sells either the World or the Journal and rip up their papers or something like that. Just make sure no one is able to read them.
But won't the cops stop us?
That's the best part. They're all occupied with the trolley strike, so they won't be here to stop us.
Okay. How many of us are there?
About 300, I think, but we'll get bigger. I'm heading to the distributing center on the next street. Want to tag along?
Yeah. During this strike, if a newsboy noticed someone selling the World or the Journal, they would attack them by ripping up their papers and occasionally beating up the boy who was selling them. Get your World here.
Hey, you shouldn't be selling those.
Hey!
Join the Newsboys Union and don't sell the World or Journal until they bring their prices back to what they were before the war.
By the first few days of the strike, more people were paying attention to it. Over 2,000 boys had joined in. The strike, which had started in Manhattan, was spreading all over New York City and even going to Jersey City, New Jersey later on.
This is so good. The strike is starting to spread all over New York City.
I know, and there have been traffic standstills all day because of it. We're catching the attention of so many people, we might actually win this strike.
About halfway through the strike, Kid Blink and some other newsboys called a meeting to discuss the progress of the strike. Many boys spoke, but Kid Blink's speech stood out the most.
Friends and fellow workers, this is the time that tries the heart of men. This is the time when we've got to stick together like glue. We know what we want, and we'll get it, even if we're blind.
This speech gave new hope to the strikers, and the next day, they went out to the streets again.
Don't buy World or Journal. Don't buy World or Journal.
The strike was really getting to the newspaper companies. They had to decide what their next move would be.
Mr. Pulitzer, why don't we just bring our prices back down? We're losing thousands of dollars a day trying to save a tenth of a cent and beat hers. It's just not worth it.
You have a point, but I will not be pushed around by some newsboys.
But sir,
I will not lower my prices, but I will agree to buy back all of their unsold papers. That way, we don't bring our prices down, but they still agree to sell for us. Everybody wins.
the strike lasted for 2 weeks from July 21st to August 2nd and ended when the newsboys agreed to sell their papers again. Soon after, Hearst followed Pulitzer in buying back unsold papers as well.